Well, hey there, pedal people. It's Pedal Guy here. How you doing? Well, today what we're going to do is we're going to unbox and demo the NuX Masamune booster and compressor pedal. But before we get started, please take a second and click on that subscribe button down there so you can stay up to date with all of our videos. Well, this is one of the other pedals in the series from the Verdugo series from NuX. I'm sure you've seen some of our other videos like the Solid Studio and the Atlantic, and there will definitely be one for the brand new Stageman. That's it. Yeah, the brand new Stageman. That one was just announced. So in any case, this is, as the name would sound, well, not the name Masamune. I'll explain that in a second, but it is a booster and a compressor. So Masamune, where does that name come from? Well, that is the name of one of the legendary sword makers of ancient Japan. And it is, he was known for making some of the best blades in the world. So I guess what NuX was trying to imply here is that the booster and the compressor can really create, hone, and cut away and sort of fine-tune your compression curve or sculpt your compression curve as well as boost it. So maybe it's a little tongue-in-cheek there for you, but let's just go over the basic parameters here real quick, and then what we'll do is we'll go into a demo for it. So the boost is on the left-hand side, the compressor is on the right-hand side, just like you would find, like, say, on the Atlantic. It's kind of the same idea. And then on the back here, we have a variety of different routing options. We have our input, our output, and we can also use an external switch, which is kind of neat. So in any case, we also have a manual that comes in the box here, and it's very easy and detailed, and it gives you a very clear idea of what every parameter does, and it also gives you the routing options there graphically. And of course, as always, it's always in 2 languages. So there you go. All right, so over here, let's just go through it really quick. So the boost section is the boost button, which is used to engage and turn off the boost effect. You have your boost level, you have your drive. And then you also have a high cut filter here at the top. So in the depressed setting, it is going to have all of the treble that you would come to find from your guitar or whatever you're plugging into it. If you want to roll that off, just simply turn it on. On the right-hand side, you have your compressor section, which you can turn off and on quite easily. You have your sustain knob, your blend knob, and your compressor level knob. And you also have a clip button, a clip switch, I should say. So we have a soft clip or a twangy clip if you want. This will introduce all of the treble into it and give you that twangy sound. Now, one thing to note is the blend knob. Now, the blend knob, one would look at this and think, okay, well, if I turn the blend knob all the way down, I'm not going to hear any compression at all, and if I turn it all the way up, it's going to be at maximum. Well, not necessarily true. The blend knob starts at 50%, so 50%. So as you increase it, that increases the amount of dry signal and wet signal mixed in. So you're still going to hear it regardless. If you've got the blend knob all the way down at the bottom and you've got the compressor engaged, you're still going to hear compression. Now on the back, we have our routing options, and what we can do is we can have them run in parallel mode, where the compressor and the booster run together at the same time. We can have the compressor run into the boost. We can have the boost run into the compressor, or we can just simply have them, we can just simply access them one at a time. And I'll show you what all of that means as we go through the demo here. But that is the Masamune compressor. And at this point now, we'll go ahead and switch gears and get into our demo. All right, well, we've got our Masamune hooked up here, and we're also using a dual camera setup, so we can look at it from the front and from the top and from the back. Just a quick review, the section here on the left pertains to the boost of the pedal. The section here on the right pertains to the comp. Now, if we go to the back, can see we have our input, we have our output, we've got our power supply, and we also have an external foot switch available, and we also have our routing options here. And this is where we can do some really great stuff with the Masamune. For example, we could have the compressor go into the boost. We could have the boost go into the compressor. We could have the boost and the compressor operate in a parallel fashion, or we can just simply set it up so it's either a compressor or it's a boost, which is kind of what it's set up as a default when you first open up the box. Quick note about the setup we're using here. We are using a Strat that's going right into the Masamune, and from there to a British Invasion amp, and from there it's going to an Axe Track isolation cabinet. So it's a pretty straightforward setup. We purposefully did this so that it would be not as color to sound. It would be pretty vanilla and easy to start with. So we didn't want to put some outrageous distortion or overdrive on it. We'd rather let the Masamune do the talking here. Okay, so to start, let's go ahead and just go through the boost section. Now, as I mentioned before, just very briefly. So right now, it's currently set up as either a compressor or a boost. A compressor or a boost, not both. And I'll show you how to do that in a few minutes. It's actually quite simple. But let's just talk about the section here really quick. What I'm going to do is just work with the boost level and the drive. So when we first turn on the boost, if the boost level is down, I'm not going to hear anything. So we want to turn that sucker up. And of course, I'll kill the mic in a few minutes so we can really have a listen to this. But you can already tell right off the bat that it's a pretty strong sounding boost. All you have to do is introduce a little drive into it. And the purpose of the boost is meant for a rhythm player that's then going to take a solo and they want to boost the signal. That's one of the common ways to use a boost. It's just a way of introducing a bit more dynamic into your playing. Right, so we have the boost level and then we have the drive. Now the drive can introduce a lot of overdrive into the sound. So here's where we were. And here's where we went. Okay, so in addition to that, we also have the high cut, which is actually turned on at the moment. Now the high cut is, as it sounds, it's a cut for high frequency. So if we turn that into the down position, we get a nice brassier sound out of it. So let's play a chord. So it's a very straightforward boost, right? But its charm is definitely in the tone that it produces. So let's kill the mic and just give you a quick audio example. it's a good, solid sounding boost. And especially with that drive, you can just get this really great rock and roll sound of it. So you just crank that sucker up and just... You can tell we were using a lot of the bridge pickup, but then we also switched up to the neck pickup, and that just gives you a totally different sound too. Okay, moving over to the right now, the compressor. The compressor is pretty straightforward, but it does take a little bit of practice to get this under your thumbs. So we turn it on, and we get our instant compression sound. So compressor is made to give you a threshold and help create sustain, some normalcy in the dynamics of your playing. And we'll explore that a little bit, but here are the main parameters. So your compressor level, pretty self-explanatory. Now the blend knob. The blend knob is a little different than you might think. What the blend knob is supposed to do is mix between the dry, unprocessed signal and the processed, compressed signal. Now, one would assume that if you turn it all the way down, that means that there's no compression being heard. That's actually not the case. It's not from 0 to 100. It's actually right now at 50. So you're getting a 50-50 mix. So if I turn up the guitar, you're still getting compression. Okay, so as I turn it up, that's just the stronger a signal that we hear. Then we have the sustain knob. Now the sustain knob is a host of different parameters because a compressor normally has like a ton of knobs on the front, like threshold and ratio and all that stuff. Now the sustain is kind of like all of that built into one knob. So a stronger compression curve will be found at noon onwards. A slightly not that strong of a signal would be found, like, say, at the 9 o'clock position. So if I turn it on and I turn my guitar up and... So it's there, but it's not like overpronounced, right? Once you start going to, like, say, the noon position on the pedal, you definitely will hear a difference. Now, the clip switch up here is meant to create a different clip. So let's say it's a soft clip or a hard clip. So with a soft clip, the compression will be mellow. Meaning as the attack happens, it's not going to be very clicky or poppy. It's just going to be kind of smooth. Now, if we toggle that switch up, we get more of a twang. So it's definitely a different feel. So as I make some adjustments to, say, the sustain, you can hear how long the notes are actually ringing out here, the sustain. So that's just where the term comes from. So if I was to take, like, let's say I just take, let's turn off the compressor, and I was just to take just a simple note that just goes down by half steps, you'll get something that sounds like this. Okay, but if I turn the compressor on, I can hear it all the way down the fretboard. That's kind of the magic of what the sustain can do. Now, the other thing too, of course, when you've got a high sustain, is that you can play some really funky chords and get this really great quick attack. So if we move to, like, say, the bridge pickup, which sounds just fantastic, especially if you put a little bit of reverb on it. So if we put some reverb on that. You get that tightness, you get that punchiness. Now, if you go to the clip and you move to, like, say, soft clip mode, that's going to sound a bit different. Now that might work for people. It just depends on your taste. So that's what the compressor is really there for. So let's go ahead and kill the mic here, and I'll just make a few adjustments so you can hear it just by itself. So now let's go ahead and let's start talking about the routing options. So let's just turn everything up to noon here and just keep it simple for the moment. If we turn the guitar up, there it is. Let's bring the volume up, maybe kill the reverb for now. All right, so if we switch to the back now and we have a look here, as mentioned before, we are set up with both switches in the up position. So what that means is, as a reminder, I can either have a compressor or a boost, a compressor or a boost, but I can't have both at the same time. Now, if I want to change that, you just have to employ some of the different options. For example, if you wanted the compressor to be first, and then the boost would come after that, you just simply want to make sure that the compressor switch, that's the one here on the far left here on your screen, or this is the far right if you're looking down at the pedal. You want to make sure that that is switched up, and then you want to take the boost switch and go down. And so now what's happening is you've got the compressor, and that's being fed to the boost. So if I go to the front here in the top, now you can see I've got both of the effects on. Okay, and what we'll do later on as we go through the different routings, we complete our little exploration here of the different routings. I'm going to play the same chord progression, and I'm going to record those in succession. so that as you're listening and watching the video, you'll be able to actually hear the difference between them. Okay, so let's switch back to the back again there. Now, if we want to go the other direction and we want the booster to come first, then we want to take that compressor switch and go down and then bring the boost switch up. And now it should sound remarkably different. And finally, let's see, let's go to that front again there. Okay, it does sound quite a bit different than it did before. And another thing to note is, let's say you're listening to this and you say, well, you know, I don't really need the boost right now, I just want the compressor. That's fine, you just turn off the boost. It's still there. Or let's say you want to turn up the compressor. See, it's very, very simple. Let's go to the back again. And let's say now we wanted them to run in parallel mode, meaning that the boost and the compressor are on their own signal path. And then they are mixed together in the output. All you have to do is just simply take both the switches and make sure they are in the down position, the toggle switches, that is. So flipping back to the front again. Sounds a lot different. And it's going to sound a lot more different once I start playing the chords, the chord progression, and go through the different settings. So what I'd invite you to do is make sure that you plug in a nice pair of headphones and listen to the differences between these. Okay, well, that's the Masamune. As you can tell, there is a lot under the hood here. It's not just your standard, average, everyday compressor or boost pedal. There's a lot here to work with, a lot of textures, a lot of fun, and we just love this thing. As we do with most of the NuX products, a lot of good stuff there. So for more information on this pedal and the other pedals that we carry, please visit us at ThePedalGuy.com. Also be sure to follow us on Facebook and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks and have a great day.